Hello, namaste, assalamu alaikum, welcome to Cricket for Us. And Pakistan got beat 4-3 against England in the T20 series that ended yesterday. You might be thinking 4-3, very good competitive series, and I do agree with you. 3 matches were very, very competitive from a Pakistani standpoint. The rest of them did seem like pretty one-sided affairs, and 3 of them were won by England. The biggest mistakes from a Pakistani standpoint are as follows. Number 1, we still haven't answered the question, what is our middle order? You could go with the direction that I keep talking about, where you have these players and then you can have a flexible middle order, but we have to pick the right players who can kind of fit the role. We have players like Shadab Khan, we have players like, unfortunately, I do have to say this, but Iftikhar Ahmed, who can fit into the mold of this Pakistani setup. But players like Khushtul Shah, unfortunately, just doesn't fit in, especially considering the fact that Nawaz is a much better bowler and Nawaz's batting has been better than Khushtul Shah's in the past year as well. In terms of the way they play the game, Khushtul Shah does develop his innings through a slightly methodical approach, which is more akin to the new Fakhar Zaman than the old Fakhar Zaman. Mohammad Nawaz is able to do that, but also has been able to go hard from the first ball. Yes, he didn't do that in the series. Yes, Khushtul Shah has been in horrendous form. So finding someone to fit the mold is always difficult. And Pakistan have suggested names which, Pakistan should not be considering right now. Shoaib Malik is not someone Pakistan should be considering for the T20 World Cup coming up. They still have time to make changes to their squad. But what if they don't make any changes? What if they make one change, which everyone's talking about Khushtul Shah going down into the reserves and Fakhar Zaman, if he's fit, hopefully, moves up into the 15? Makes sense. I would agree with that statement. We play Fakhar and Shan, or we don't play Shan because Shan can't play T20 cricket. He's a great ODI player. He's a great test player. Dude, he played for Derbyshire this year in the T20 format. He played in the National T20 Cup this year in the middle order. Yes, he didn't have the best numbers in the world. Still did a pretty good job. He did a pretty good job for the situation he was put in. And he definitely has cemented his place in this team because the rest are just not performing at all, even when they're trying to. We saw Shan Masood, the 2 innings that Shan got set, you could see him trying to hit the ball. It would just go straight to the fielder. And yesterday he did miss quite a few of the deliveries that maybe someone else might have connected a lot better. But overall, I totally understand Shan Masood being on the side. It's the rest of that middle order that Pakistan has to figure out. Haider Ali's just not looked the same over the past year. The only reason why I did talk about Iftikhar Ahmed is because he offered stuff with the ball. He offered an off-spin option that worked almost every time he bowled in this series. So Pakistan would be more confident with that. So I don't see Iftikhar Ahmed going anywhere. And then we have to go back to my initial point, which was we haven't figured out our middle order. Shadab Khan is not a bad shout at number 4. This talks about bringing Azam Khan back. Not a bad situation to be in. I'm not the biggest Azam Khan fan. However, what he's doing in the CPL, what he's done in the CPL, what he did in the PSL earlier this year, he's looked good. And even then, he's striking at 127. He hasn't looked bad whatsoever. I think the fitness thing might be an issue, but the rest, I think it could work. But based on the current team that we have, Shadab Khan, number 4, makes sense to me. Mistake number 2, not trying out everyone in their squad. Amir Jamal got 2 games. First game, he bowled the death over. Second game, he got smashed and then they dropped him, right? You could try new players and give them a slightly longer run. I would say minimum of 3 games. And then see how they adapt to international cricket. Mohammad Haris, opening batsman, wicketkeeper, got 1 game. Abrar Ahmed didn't get selected. Usman Khader went for runs upon runs in 4 T20Is. Didn't look the greatest. Shadab Khan got fit and then got injured in the last match because he's not fully fit, but Pakistan wanted to play him. And we have no idea who our next spinner is. If Shadab gets injured, Usman Khader is not good enough. Zahid Mahmood, we don't know if we're going to take him or not. Zahid Mahmood is an option. Again, a slightly more economical option from recent performances than someone like Usman Khader, but he's a similar kind of bowler. He does have a bit more of a straighter arm. He doesn't spin the ball too much either. And he has a killer googly just like Usman Qadir. Abrar Ahmed, though, was a mystery option that everyone was excited about. So KPL, he performed, I believe, and he looked good prior to being selected for the squad against England. So he wasn't even given a chance. So that's something I'm not fully happy about. So that's mistake number 2. Number 3, not trying hard enough. I have to say, I would never have made that comment if it wasn't for the 7th T20I. Up until the 7th T20I, it looked like Pakistan was just trying their level best to win every single game. Look at the way Pakistan won the 2 games that were really close by 6 runs and by 3 runs, or 3 runs and 6 runs, something like that. And you could see how much Pakistan wanted it. But in the 7th T20I, you just knew Pakistan was completely gone. Right? As soon as the Babar and Rizwan wicket fell, I was like, yeah, okay, we've basically lost it anyway. Shah Masood tried to carry the ship. We had a little scrimmage or a little performance from Iftikhar Ahmed and with Khushal Shah, but it didn't look like they were going for a victory, which is really unfortunate because they deserved to try and go for the victory. I'm not a big fan of the idea that, oh, I'd be happy if they scored 100 all out in 12 overs. But if you score 160 in like 16 overs and get bowled out, I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that. So you gotta give yourself a chance to try and go for the win. But by the time the power play ended, Pakistan were not even close to planning out a potential victory. I think they'd already given up by the time the power play rolled around. England, on the other hand, took advantage of the power plays throughout this series, and I'm going to talk about that as my 4th point. Everyone talks about the strike rate of Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan. Dude, these guys aren't the big problem. Eventually they catch up. The big problem is that Pakistan's middle order isn't strong enough for them to feel comfortable in losing their wicket by trying to be more aggressive. And therefore, when they lose their wickets, the middle order can't perform, we're unable to post a big total, and then we're worried at the end, and then the bowlers have to save us like they have done at least twice in this series already. So yeah, that's about it. Pakistan is a very unpredictable team, but certain traits that are encompassed within this particular squad or this particular Pakistan side is the fact that up until yesterday, I've seen them fight a lot, right? And losing hope or losing their approach is not the way. They have worked out a method to win matches. Stick with that. The only difference is you just make slight tweaks. You don't go completely out of the ordinary. Pakistan does not have confidence in many players that can come into the middle order. There is a name though, just based on recency bias right here. Saim Ayub. Definite contender. Won't see him for a couple of years, which is fine, but potentially he is someone for the future. You have Qasim Akram, who is also potentially someone for the future. People touted him as the next Shoaib Malik or the next Mohammad Hafiz because he's good with the ball, but he's very, very good with the bat as well. Haven't seen the greatest batting performances yet, but neither did we for Shoaib Malik until like 2006, 2005, 2006 onwards. So keep that into consideration. But it's not all hope is lost, right? Yes, there were mistakes, but we can rectify those mistakes by simple mindset changes and maybe personnel changes, as people are suggesting. I wouldn't suggest that. I would say maximum like the Fakhr and Khushal thing makes sense. Pakistan's death bowling without Haris Rauf is practically not that good, especially in the series. Dahani, Mohammad Asim Jr., Mohammad Hasnan, all of them were spanked in the death. All right? Haris Rauf, yes, he was great. Mohammad Asim Jr. had one good game at the death, right? But based on the way England adapted to these guys, they knew how to play everyone apart from potentially Haris Rauf. Yes, lack of Naseem and lack of Shaheen was detrimental to Pakistan, and that's like the final mistake, I think. They didn't realize the death bowling could be targeted like that, and especially with a team like England. And obviously, 7 matches means the teams get used to each other. But what England did, they adapted to Pakistani conditions against Pakistan and thrashed them twice in a row. While Pakistan only kind of thrashed England, even in that 10-wicket chase. But even then, they went until the last over of the match. So, you know, there are those things to be considered. That's me. Please leave your thoughts about Pakistan and Pakistan cricket and what mistakes Pakistan made, because I would really like to read them and talk about it, because I'm not perfect. I probably missed out a bunch. Thank you, and until next time, take care.